guys, Jay here, welcome to Eons of Battle, and it is time for Shadowvault, the next Kill Team expansion from Games Workshop, coming hot after Into the Dark, only 40 days after the previous box. Usually they're about 3 months apart, but Games Workshop rushed this one, and no one is completely sure why. It could be that this box comes with the Khazarkin, and the Imperial Guard Codex is coming out soon, so it could be that they rushed this box so that people would buy this box instead of buying the Khazarkin separately when they come out for the Imperial Guard. It could also be to maybe get this box out of the way before the Christmas rush and the Christmas battle forces are available to order. Not really sure. Currently, it says it is temporarily out of stock on the Games Workshop web stores, and that sometimes means that it will come back in stock and you'll be able to buy it again, and sometimes it just kind of vanishes forever. No one's ever really sure about anything from Games Workshop, but I do have a copy. Although if you didn't manage to get your hands on a copy, this box probably wouldn't be the end of the world one to miss out on. It contains the exact same terrain as Into the Dark, which is also kind of interesting. I love that. I want to have a huge sprawling Space Hulk, so I'm very excited to have 4 copies of this terrain so I can really get some Zone Mortalis style 40k games in. Also, it's just fun terrain to use for a lot of different games. Like I could see Dead Zone being really fun. Heck, maybe even have it be like the insides of a Caradron Overlord hauler. Those are the Age of Sigmar steampunk dwarves, and play some Age of Sigmar on the Gallo Dark terrain. I think that is going to be super fun. But let me know in the comments, do you prefer every single box have unique terrain? Because that's how they did it for the first 4 boxes, the first season of Kill Team. And that was kind of cool too, because you do get a lot more variety and different stuff. And I feel like it gives each box a little bit maybe more personality, where these are definitely 4 different flavors of the same ice cream, where the original boxes, every single one was very unique. This box contains the exact same terrain, although it does come with 1 extra sprue with some kind of fun little decoration pieces, although there are rules in this book for some really fun narrative rules for those things. There's a machine that can cut through the walls, there's a giant bomb, there's a big pile of guns, and there is a heavy bolter. Actually, I think it might be a storm bolter or a double heavy bolter. It is a twin heavy bolter. 5 attacks, hitting on 5 ups with 4/5 damage, which is actually not that great. I feel like a heavy bolter, I guess 2 heavy bolters. We haven't seen twin in a long time. Twin was a thing in Warhammer 40k 6th and maybe 7th edition, where it was twin linked, and so you got to reroll your shots. When 8th edition came out, they decided to change it up and have all twin linked weapons just be 2 of the same weapon, which was really, really good because it meant that you had the opportunity to get more hits instead of just a better chance of a smaller pool of hits landing. So that was an interesting change, but we have it again with twin heavy bolter, really only doing the damage of 1 heavy bolter, but it's fine. It's a cool little turret that anybody can run up to and use. Getting into the meat and taters of this book, though, really what people are here for is the Khazarkin and the Necrons. And I was a little bit skeptical of this box initially. Maybe it's just because the previous Necron box for Kill Team left a bad taste in my mouth. I think it left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. That was Pariah Nexus. That box was a little bit of a cash grab from Games Workshop. I mean, everything they produce is a cash grab because they want us to buy it. But that one, it felt really, really apparent because it came with a whole bunch of brand new units that nobody could buy except for in that Kill Team box. And the terrain super felt like an afterthought. Like it was like baby's first AutoCAD Warhammer terrain, and you didn't get much of it at that. It was really bad. But after reading all the rules, I can safely say that these 2 teams look like so much fun. The Khazarkin might look really, really familiar when you look at their stats. They are very similar to the Imperial Guard, the veteran guardsmen like the Death Corps of Krieg, and they also have a lot of the abilities of the Tempestus Scions from the Compendium, which is a really, really fun team. It's a great team of 10 super badass Marine guys. And that's essentially what these guys are, although they do have a few fun shenanigans that make them feel really different. The big thing about these is they don't have orders. Classic Imperial Guard have orders that they can issue every turn, and it's a lot like a tactical or strategic ploy that you just get for free at the top of every turn. Usually you can either have better fighting, better shooting, or a better save. I almost always do better save because the guys are super squishy. But these guys have a rule very similar to the Sisters of Battle Novitiates from Chalnath. The Sisters Novitiates had faith points, and these guys have elite points. At the top of the game, you have 10 elite points, and you get 2 every turn that your sergeant is alive. And what I like about these what I like about these elite points better than the faith points. I like the faith points. I really like the Novitiate's kill team. But the tricky thing with those is there's a lot of rules to remember. Those faith points can be used to spend doing a lot of different things, and the more you stack up, the better things get. But with these guys, it's super duper simple. And I like a good simple rule. I like a simple rule that is really game changing. And what these guys can do is they can spend one of their elite points to change a dice result, to pump it up by 1. So if you're shooting, if you're shooting and you miss one of your shots, or you don't get any of your shots, but you got a 5 and you really wanted that 6 to crit, you can spend one of your elite points. Actually, you can spend any number of your elite points to change that die 1 pip. So if you're firing your hotshot las gun and you really need that 6, but you only rolled a 4 and everything else missed, you can spend 2 elite points to pop that up to 6. And that is your new dice result. Super simple, super easy to remember. It works on all 10 of your guys, and I like it a lot. And I think it's a good replacement for orders because I often forgot about my orders. I think once again, because the orders can do different things, sometimes I would give everybody the close combat order. Probably not the close combat order, probably the shooting order. And then for like 2 out of my 10 operatives, I would forget to actually increase their ballistic skill. And so it was useless to me, but I'm never going to be forgetting about the opportunity to change a dice result. Also, a fun change. We actually saw this change first with the Blooded Kill team in the previous box that was right before Into the Dark, but they made a slight change to how sergeants operate. Typically, sergeants are just your leader guy who's equipped with a power weapon and a plasma pistol. You always took it. There was always lots of other options, but they were all garbage compared to the power weapon and the plasma pistol. But in this kill team and the Blooded Kill team, they no longer let you just take the 2 best options, the best close combat option and the best shooting option. Now you're forced to either pick, you're either kind of forced to either go shooting or go melee focused, which I actually think is a nice change because it all of a sudden makes it a decision. Do I want this guy to be a close combat monster or do I want him to have decent shooting? Instead of just, oh yeah, you just take the PP, you gotta get the plasma pistol, you gotta take the power sword. Instead, you actually have to think about it for a second. Although I think I would always go plasma pistol and chain sword because the plasma pistol is just too good. You can't not take a plasma pistol. Plasma pistols are like delete buttons, and it would be frankly inappropriate to not bring the plasma pistol to your kill team battles. They have all of the other operatives that you would expect, like the medic, the bomb guy, but what's interesting about the Khazarkin is they can take tons of gunners. Essentially, they have 6 available to them, and you can only take 4. Which is still pretty good, and every single option seems good. I would argue though, every option, this whole team, actually both this and the Necron team, kind of feel like they would perform better, or they would be able to use a lot more of their abilities in a standard game of kill team, not on the Gallo Dark, which is the Space Hulk that all of these kill teams are set around, is close quarter combat, which is really, really fun. But all of the weapons, like both of these are essentially shooting teams. And I mean, there's snipers in both teams, and snipers you're not going to be able to get the most out of a sniper in a tight hallway. Really, you want them up on a vantage point shooting down at your enemy. So I think it's a little bit interesting. I think that they'll play very differently. I mean, all teams are going to play very differently in the close confines of the Gallo Dark terrain and in a more standard game of kill team. Other than that, though, if you're at all familiar with the rules for the Tepessa Scions, a lot of these guys are going to seem very familiar. I think one of the guys that's most important is going to be the Khazarkin Vox Trooper, who is your battery. For 1 AP, he can hand one of his action points to any of your other Khazarkin. Any of them. You're going to do that every single turn. You're going to have him hiding in the back, and you're going to have him give an AP, an APL, an action point to one of the other guys. So if they have to run and dash and shoot, that's having 3 action points is huge, usually reserved only for Space Marines or Harlequins, or Custodes even. Having a normal guardsman with 3 APL and having 2 per turn every single turn is huge and is going to be an absolute game changer. Looking at their equipment, nothing stood out to me as super special except for adrenaline shots for 1 equipment point. At the start of the game, you have 10 equipment points and you get to splash those out for special upgrades to your guys. But what I like about that is it lets you ignore all modifiers to your operative's APL and movement characteristics. This is great for me because I'm not very strategic, and so I can just throw this on every single guy and know that even if I get myself into trouble, which I will, I can use my adrenaline shot to really quickly kind of turn the tides in my favor and actually get to use my operative how I intended to. But through my own poor leadership, I left myself in a really bad predicament. I think the Khazarkin are going to be a really, really cool kill team, and I think it's going to be a great kill team for people who don't already have an Imperial Guard kill team or a Tempesta Scion kill team, which a lot of people don't. I think most people probably have the kill teams that are actually from one of these kill team double boxes. So I think that these guys are going to fit right in, and they're probably going to scooch the Tempesta Scions out. Although if you already have a Tempesta Scion kill team, I mean, just get these rules. They're essentially the exact same models, literally mostly the exact same models with the exact same weapons. But if the Tempesta Scions aren't wetting your whistle, there's also the Necrons. And I didn't really care about the Necrons. Maybe it's because I have a 5,000 point Necron army for Warhammer 40k, and I know everything about Necrons. But after reading the Necron rules, this kill team seems like one of the most fun kill teams you can play. I mean, they have shenanigans for days. They're a somewhat low model count army, essentially consisting of 6 dudes and 2 little dudes. You've got your Cryptek, which the box, it actually comes with rules for 3 of the 4 Crypteks that Games Workshop sells. You've got the Chronomancer, the Time Wizard, the Psychomancer, the Scary Wizard, and the Technomancer, the Technology Wizard. Unfortunately, the old Plasmancer was left out. Sorry, the Indominus Plasmancer. No one likes you, apparently. But this box only comes with the Technomancer. It has rules for the other 2, but it only comes with the Technomancer, which is a monstrous Necron model on a 50mm base, which is the largest sized model we have gotten for Kill Team. But the rules for him are very cool. I think if you showed me these 3 guys and said which one should come in the box, I think the Technomancer is kind of the most fun because he can help reanimation protocols and he can heal guys. And there's literally the Necrons are that Chumbawamba song. I get knocked down, but I get up again. Like literally all of your operatives can just, number one, they're never gonna die because they have so many ways to heal themselves, and they just get to stand back up. Like if your operative dies, it's not dead. It's literally not dead. There's no way to kill it. And then it'll just, on a 3-up, it gets to stand right back up, D3 with D3 wounds. Not just stand up with 1 wound like Space Marines and Veteran Guard get to do sometimes if they're lucky. Every Necron model just gets to stand right back up. You know, you roll a dice. Oh, look, he's got all 3 of his wounds back. And if you use some of the Technomancer shenanigans, he can come back with even more wounds than that. It is really, really cool. So you've got your giant-ass Cryptek, and you also have some Cryptothralls. No, not Cryptothralls, Plasmacytes. Oh, those Necron fake names. You get 2 of these suckers. One of them is a little bit better at healing, and one of them is a little bit better at reanimating Necrons. And you just get these guys. There's no like picking which one you like better. They're on the board. This is the first time we've seen a little kind of piddly guy who can actually do actions. They still can't take equipment, but these guys can actually take objectives and like pick up objectives, which like the Kroot Hounds don't get to do that. The cat unit from the other box, the Into the Dark box, don't get to do that. None of the piddly little things in Kill Team get to do that except for the Necrons. Probably because other than that, they only get, they get 8 operatives in total, so maybe only having 6 operatives that can actually do actions would be too low. But I mean, these guys are gonna have such an easy time just sitting in conceal all game, being literally unable to be shot at because they're so small, and then just being able to do mission actions is pretty wild. After your Cryptek and his little baby boys, you also have a model with one of my favorite names. The apprentice to the Necron Wizard is called the Apprentek. And what this Apprentek can do, actually he has some really cool rules. You can use his eyes for any model. And what that means is usually models can only shoot at things that they can see. But if you're within 6 inches of this guy, no, it's not even limited to 6 inches. If this guy can see the enemy, and he can see another one of your friendly Necrons, you can use his eyeballs to determine line of sight. So you can just see around corners, assuming that this guy is the one sitting around that corner. He can also hand out some of the special powers that the normal Cryptek can do to your other guys, so help them with their reanimations, give them extra health points, help their wound characteristics, give them invulnerable saves. I don't believe it is the Technomancer, but it's the Chronomancer can give people invulnerable saves. So the Apprentice is a pretty cool guy who's actually built out of the body of an immortal slash Deathmark. You get the same Warhammer 40,000 box of Deathmark slash immortals, which you can build either way. And your normal Deathmarks and your normal immortals, but you also have a special unit called the Immortal Despotek. So what's interesting about the Immortal Despotek is he can give the tactical ploy, the command reroll, the one that's in the core book, he can give that to one of the Deathmarks or immortals on the team for free. In terms of your normal pleb immortals and Deathmarks, they're both very good. They're very solid units. 10 wounds, 3 up save, movement 2 circle, which for all of those Kill Team players out there, you know that means 4 inches. Now, wasn't 2 circle a much easier way to say 4 inches than just 4 inches? I still don't get the whole movement shapes with colors. It doesn't really make much sense. But Games Workshop is sticking with it, and it really is not that hard to learn 1, 2, 3, 6. You kind of get used to it really, really quick. All of these Necrons have access to reanimation and living metal. And living metal is also a rule that almost feels unfair. At the beginning of every turn, if your guys have lost any wounds, they can regain 2. They just get 2 back. It's wild. And actually, there are stratagems and ways to get more than 2 wounds back. You can actually get 3 sometimes, which is crazy. They have tons of really fun equipment where the Scions, Khazarkin, very different. One of them is an elite fighting force of infantry, and the other one is an elite fighting force of infantry. You gotta keep that straight. But the Necrons have a lot of really interesting equipment. Any operative can take the Tesla Weave, which is a really fun piece of equipment. I guess it's just spikes. Every time you're charged, the enemy has to roll a d6 and they take wounds on a 5-up, which is wild. Actually, they take mortal wounds on a 5-up. And the Phase Shifter, which I think is like mandatory for your Cryptek, but it gives your Cryptek a 4-up invulnerable save. A 4-up invulnerable save, that is really, really good. That is like a Custodes Guardian Shield level invulnerable save. It is wild. For 3 equipment points. So you can just buy it. It's not even like 4 equipment points. It's not even like half your kill team's points. You still, even after their Phase Shifter, you still have plenty of room for all of the other equipments. And one thing I forgot to talk about for the Immortals, who are very cool, one tiny little problem with the Deathmarks is that their guns have heavy, which means you can only move up to 3 inches that turn when you decide to actually fire your gun, which is a little annoying, although less annoying on Necrons than almost everything else in the game because they only naturally get to move 4 inches a turn. So moving 3 inches instead of 4 inches does not hurt nearly as bad as everything else in the game moving, not getting to move 6 inches, but only getting to move 3 inches. But the Deathmarks have a really fun stratagem. And by stratagem, I mean tactical ploy. Strategic ploy, tactical ploy, it's easy to mix up. Dimensional translocation. So you can take a Deathmark and start them off the board first turn, and then you get to, so everybody has to set everything up. And then once everyone set everything up, you just put them down. You just put them down wherever you want, more than 6 inches from the enemy's deployment zone or an enemy. Huge. And you get to do this whenever you want during that first turn. So you can even let the turn play out a little bit, let some people move, let some people take actions, and then just say, you know what? My Cryptek has actually been standing right here this whole time, and he still has 1 action point left, so he's gonna shoot you right in the face. It's beautiful. Number 1, it's exactly what the Deathmarks do in the lore, waiting like outside of time and space, and then literally just stepping into reality to do their Deathmark business. It is a really, really cool tactical ploy, and it gives the Necrons so much wonderful flavor. What's great about this box is that you've got standard like human soldiers who can do everything you'd expect normal human soldiers to do. And on the other side, you just have weird magic robot monsters who do magical robot monster things. It is so much fun. It's a complete like yin yang between like realistic and completely insane. I am really excited to get these kill teams painted up. I have so many painting ideas. I am going to be taking the Khazarkin, and Nick will be handling the Necrons. And I just can't wait to paint them up. I can't decide if I want to do the normal Games Workshop color scheme for the Khazarkin. I mean, I've been staring at that color scheme for like 10 years. It's like it's what I've known. It's what's comfy to me. But there's some other color schemes that would look really, really good. In this book, there's a picture of some Khazarkin with white armor. I think that might be what I do because it looks really, really good. And I don't have a lot of miniatures with really, really light colors. I tend to paint really dark, and so it might be fun to try to mix it up a little bit. But overall, I am very excited about this box and these armies. Although it's currently out of stock from Games Workshop, and there's no telling if it's going to actually come back in stock. So if you can, let's just say, acquire the rules that are in this book, and they're not particularly hard to acquire, the Khazarkin will be available probably in short order, coming out with the new Imperial Guard Codex and all those new Imperial Guard units. And if you already own Indominus, you essentially have most of the models necessary to play the Necrons and Kill Team. You already have a Cryptek, you already have a Royal Warden who would stand in perfectly as the Immortal unit. You already have some Plasmacytes. So the only thing you would need is a box of Immortals and Death Marks to turn into the other characters. So and this terrain is already available separately from Into the Dark. So really, if you wanted to assemble this box, it would not be hard. In fact, I mean, most people already have Indominus, so you almost already have this Necron Kill Team. So if you didn't manage to get a copy of this box, don't feel too bad because it's not the world's most unique box. But you know what is very unique? That's right, our Patreon. Over there, we make lots of great miniatures, both miniature and terrain, to populate your wargaming tables, all hosted by Comics, Games, and Things. And we make one extra episode of Eon's Battle every single week where we take a look at our viewers' models and give them some helpful critiques and ideas of how to make their painting better. And if that wasn't enough, we also have a Discord hangout every Friday where we all hop into a channel and we just chit-chat the night away. And if you could believe it, we have merch. Link in the description. If you're interested in picking up any Kill Team related stuff, maybe not this particular box because it's out of stock, but there's a lot of other cool Kill Team stuff, or maybe some of that new Leagues of Votann goodness, you might want to check out Valhalla Hobby. They have a great online game store where they offer a nice discount on Games Workshop products, and if you shop with the code EOB11, you can get 5% off your first order. I have lots of painting to do to get my Khazarkin ready for the gaming table, so bye-bye.